the MR Roulette salmon from Baltic. This is our review, so let's talk about it. But first, I'm not a watch expert, I'm just a watch nerd, so if you disagree with us or you're angry, pop down into the comments and have a fight with us, because we love it. And whilst you're down there, why not like, subscribe, ding that bell icon so you never miss another video. And why not click that join button, become a channel member? That would be amazing. On the topic of comments, I'm quite behind replying to all of them. I've been quite ill. I'm still ill. So, work, if you're seeing this, I didn't lie just to get a half day on Saturday. I'm actually really poorly. So, how did a review sample from Baltic come around? Because that's actually quite a big brand. I'll tell you for how. Essentially, I messaged them, Sean Connery, on Instagram, and they were like, I'm not the person to speak to, but email this person. So I emailed them a big essay about us, about why we like the brand, and they went, sure thing, let's send you a review sample, what do you want? So I asked for the MR Roulette salmon on the beads of rice bracelet, and I've really liked it. First of all, what are the specs? So, as with most watches, it's made of 316L stainless steel. Standard, that's most of the materials out the way. In terms of the other materials, the crystal isn't sapphire, it's hesselite. And we will talk about that more in a little bit. Sizing, I love the sizing. This is something that I will endlessly praise about this watch. The sizing is 36mm, and for its vintage look and feel, it fits it phenomenally well. It's beautiful. The lug to lug, it's very, very wearable at 44mm. The thickness, without the beautifully domed crystal, is 9.9mm, so again, really nice and wearable. Power reserve, 42 hours. That's nothing spectacular, but for the price that you're paying and for the finishing that you have on the dial and the movement, I don't expect a high level of power reserve. Not a problem for me. Water resistance, 30 meters. Again, for a watch that looks this good at this price, you're going to be making some compromises. The movement is a Chinese Hangzhou Cal 5000A micro rotor movement. Yes, I said micro rotor movement. And Terrence, does it look good?
I think it's the best aspect about the watch.
That movement, strokes moustache, is beautiful. It's a very, very nice movement. I'm impressed by how good that movement looks. Of course, the movement's Chinese. But does that take away from how good it looks? Particularly for the price? No, it doesn't. It's even got blued screws. It's got a nice gold micro rotor. It's lovely. And a micro rotor movement is a watch nerd's wet dream. You can take that to the bank.
What sort of bank? So
let's swap our conversation over to the front of the watch for a minute and talk about the dial. So it's a three-hander, but not a conventional three-hander because it's got a sub-dial for a running second. So it's got small seconds, complication. But it's an off-center small seconds and it looks lovely. It gives it a really vintage feel, yet the fact that it's off-center makes it feel contemporary and nice. Am I wrong about that, Terry?
No, I think it feels contemporary.
Yeah, it's like they've taken something that's vintage in look and feel and just changed one aspect about it in its aesthetic to go, this is new, this is hip, this is cool. And I like that. You don't have to change a ton. You don't have to be really avant-garde and out there to make your point. They've done it just with a simple shift, and I approve. What's more is the texture across the dial changes quite significantly. So you've got a grained texture in the center section and the small seconds, and yet it changes to a really beautiful, like coppery, salmony sunburst on the minute track and the hour track, and I love that. It looks phenomenal. Just makes the dial so much more interesting to look at. It looks like the dial of a much more expensive watch. When it comes to the bezel, I don't really have a lot to say about the bezel. It's just a piece of like polished steel, well, brushed steel, I should say, because I mean, it looks nice, it does the job, but it's nothing spectacular. It's just cool. Now, I want to talk about the crystal for a minute. So obviously this watch leans heavily into vintage inspiration, hence, I think, in part, the Hesalite crystal. I don't mind the Hesalite crystal specifically because of the price range, and I haven't mentioned the price range yet. So this watch on the bracelet is sold at €605. I would get the watch on the bracelet. That's me. I always say I'd get watches on the bracelet. That's why I asked for it on a bracelet. On a bracelet, €605, which is £509. For a micro rotor movement, for a dial that looks that good, you're getting a lot of watch. But as I alluded to before, you are making compromises. So part of that is Hesalite crystal. Vintage purists and stuff won't mind that. I just would like it to have sapphire, even if I was paying a bit more, because it would just make the watch feel more wearable to me. I wouldn't have to worry about it so much, knocking it and these things. But that's just me. That's up to personal preference. I think maybe most people would prefer sapphire, but loads of people buy the Hesalite Speedmaster, and that's £6,600 on a bracelet. So who am I to tell people how to spend their money, whether it's sapphire or Hesalite? It's up to them. I just prefer sapphire, to be honest. Going to the bracelet I think is lovely. So if we're talking about it, it's got a little bit of flex, but for a beads of rice style bracelet, that's to be expected. And it's really nicely finished. There's some jangle, but I've used and held far more expensive watches with just as much jangle as this. So I'm not really being put off by that. The micro adjustments manual for the price, I'm not angry at that either. That's fine. And I just want to give a big shout out, because it's actually a very vintage feeling feature. This watch has really gone into it. It's got drilled lugs. It's got drilled lugs, which makes it so much bloody easier to change straps. Everyone should have drilled lugs. Every person, we should drill their lugs and their watches' lugs, but the people as well, okay? It's also got like quick release spring bars, which is lovely. So there's a lot of thought that's been put into this watch. And when I was adjusting it for myself, it's not push pin. I mean, the MR with the micro rotor movement that we reviewed was push pin at almost £2,000. This is £500, and it's proper screws for this bracelet. So I really appreciate that. That's really, really nice. One thing I don't want to say criticize, but sort of call this watch out for, and it may just be because it's a review sample. It's very loud. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shake it next to the microphone, and I'm shaking it this way, and I can see that the rotor isn't moving, but there is something shaking in the watch. I'm holding the bracelet still, so that it's not the bracelet shaking, and I can see that the micro rotor isn't shaking either. So listen to this. I don't know what that is. Let's compare it with my Seiko. So this watch costs 3 times more, of course, not on a bracelet, but so I can't hear anything compared with the Baltic. So it's quite a loud watch. It might be because it does the rounds for press. It's been taken around, it's been abused a bit. And if that was given as an explanation, I would 100% believe it. But yeah, I just wanted to say that because it's something to consider. You don't want your watch to be unexplainably loud and shaky. Terry, you've been using it for the last week. What do you think?
I like it. I don't love it, but I like it. I think if you're looking for a salmon dial watch for under £1,000, which is quite hard to find.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
And that case back is, every time I show it to someone, they're always amazed
Yeah.
at how beautiful the case back is.
Oh, same with me. I've had so many people look at the case back and been like, wow, that's amazing. How much did that watch cost? £500. Damn. That's a lot of watch for money. And that brings us, I think, to the conclusion quite nicely. It's a lot of watch for the money. You get a lot of stuff that you're not getting on other watches. You get an incredible movement. Like, you're not getting anything else with a movement that looks like this from a well-known brand. You're simply not. It's a lovely bracelet. It just looks absolutely lovely. And a lot of people have turned to me and said that the bracelet looks lovely as well. You're getting a small seconds with a beautifully textured dial with variances in texture. And it's just a wonderful, super wearable watch. Are there compromises? Yes. Can a lot of them be attributed to the fact that it's a vintage throwback? Yeah. Could it do with a bit of modernization, or like a pro version with some modernization, like a couple £100 more expensive with maybe some sapphire crystal and a micro adjust? If they did that, I'd be all over it. Yeah, they probably could, but that might ruin the spirit of the thing, to be honest. So it's got compromises. But is it magnificent for the price? Yeah, I think so. All in all, Baltic, you've done a very, very good job. Just maybe work on that one little jangle, and you'd have an excellently wearable little watch here. So what do you guys think? Do you love it? Do you hate it? How would you rate it? Let me know down in the comments. And whilst you're down there, why not like, subscribe, ding that bell icon so you never miss another video, and why not click that join button as well? We would love it if you did. And on the subject of the join button, thank you very, very much to our channel members. You guys are the absolute best. See them on screen now. And to everyone else, watch yourselves.